One of the most popular questions I get is, where do I buy machines? Now, I don't advertise for this company, but this is one of the places I get machines. The warning is you need to know who you're dealing with when you buy on a company like this, because you can get a trunk slammer that sells you something, now you're stuck with it. So you need to make sure you trust them. Now, I've bought from this particular vendor before, so I trust them. And they're not a big company, but they sell a lot of parts to people. So they've been doing this a while. They're no slouch. And what this is, well, obviously it's a washer, but I'm going to surprise you with what size it is. Because you're going to be like, what, Keenan? What? Now, when you're first starting out in the laundromat business, you're not going to have a whole lot of money. And so you're going to have to buy some used equipment if you really want to get ahead, in my opinion. If you buy used, you better know how to work on it. Now, a lot of you are probably like, you're not at your laundromat, why are you unpacking it? Well, I'll explain that here in a minute. Oh, now there's tape all over it, and I gotta clean it. This is an 80-pounder. Now, there's a couple smaller boxes. They're obviously not 80-pounders. But there is another big one behind me. Now, in my laundromat that I'm putting the plumbing in, I'm putting 2 of these in. Now, look at that. I paid $1,000 for this machine. Okay, $1,000. Really? I mean, it's an older controller style. Put a new sticker on. Get rid of this. Clean that up. Door opens. Parts are here. Supposedly I don't know if you can hear that, but the bearing's out. They just didn't want to fix the bearing in this thing. And that's it. What I'm going to do to this machine is I'm going to put a new drain valve in. I'm going to save the old one. I'm going to test it. Put a new drain valve, new water valve, new belt. Usually there's 2 on the back of these, sometimes 1. I'll put new belts on. Obviously new bearings, new seals, a sleeve on the shaft even, and a new sticker. And I'll polish this up, and that's it. That's all I'll do. So yeah, I paid $1,000. I will have maybe $600 in parts, maybe. And I'll go along and I'll show you. We're actually going to do a video on this from the time I start working on it till the time I'm finished. I'm going to do a video. It's going to be a short video. I'm going to not bore you to death, but I'm going to basically show you how to change bearings, show you how to change the drain valve, show you how to change the water valves, and make an old machine like brand new. Now, as long as you find these in good condition where they're not all beat up, like this lid's bad, that's a $10 item. Door needs to be adjusted. As long as they're not all beat up, my customers will love this. And what I can do in my laundromat that my competition down the street can't do, I could put a $7 vend price on this. I could be the cheapest, biggest washers in town. I could do $8 instead. My competition's $9.75 or $10 for an 80-pounder. So I could do $9.50. I could do $9. I can do whatever I want, but I can be cheaper than my competition because I don't have a payment on that. Now, in a few years down the road, once my laundromats are really all paid off and I have to retool, then I might have saved up money where I go out and buy new equipment, and I'll buy it in lots. I'll buy a couple of this, a couple of that. I won't go out and just get a $200,000, $300,000 loan to redo a laundromat. Now, if you're in a big demographic, big city, Chicago, Miami, New York, LA, well, not LA, but areas there's a big demand for, it might be smart to buy new equipment, especially if you can't work on it. But me, my niche in the laundromat business is I can make that thing make more money than the guy down the street with the brand new machine, because I know what customers want. They want it to work, they want it to be clean, and they want to save some money. I mean, right now people are complaining about money like crazy, so I can be cheaper than everybody else because I don't have the same overhead. So one thing I want to do is open up these, because these I've never seen. Once again, you've got to trust somebody, because if you don't, you're going to get screwed. Trust me, I got screwed one time. I learned a lesson. But we're going to open these because I'm curious what they look like. And these, where did I put my scissors? Oh, they're in my pocket, guys. Guys, they're in my pocket. These also have bad bearings. But these go to laundromat number 1. And they're going there because I have no big washers. Now, I didn't buy 80-pounders for my laundromat number 1. Laundromat number 1 has single-phase service. Laundromat number 2 and 3. 3 is the one I built. It has really nice equipment. It could use some more 80-pounders, but it's got nice equipment. Those 2 laundromats have 3-phase. This is 3-phase. These 2 80-pounders are 3-phase. These 2 little guys, single-phase, or they're supposed to be. I know what you're thinking. Keenan needs a knife. Keenan's mom won't let him have a knife. I'm serious. My mom said I'm not old enough. Now these look beautiful. Now I'm going to tell you what. I'm really happy with what I've seen already. And you're facing the wrong direction. This is the side of the machine. I'm making a mess of this garage, horribly bad. No, you got the side of the machine. That's all got to be cleaned up. But here it is. It's a 50-pounder. And you're like, oh my God, Keenan, it's got push buttons. What the heck? That's so archaic. My laundromat number 1 has 40-pounders that are push buttons. And I know people tell me that eventually these timers will burn up and go bad. Knock on wood, mine have it, and they're over 20 years, 30 years old, 20 years old. And the customers love this because it's simple. That's all the options. They love it. Customers dislike this with a vengeance in my area. If I put in Cash App and I put in Pay Range and I put in all this stuff, my customers are confused by the bill breaker, and I have instructions everywhere about that. I can't, they get bothered by this. They don't even, sometimes they don't even read it. They just go normal, bang. It's crazy. It was the best thing ever. I know they're archaic, but my customers love them. Now, these are supposed to have bad bearings. I mean, look at that door. The gasket's even nice on this thing. I don't know. Just barely making a noise. Just barely. Let's see if it's single phase. Here's the test. Oh, sookie. There we go. Single phase. That's awesome. Like I said, I'll change these out. Those are the water valves. The drains are down below. I know what you're thinking. You're like, Keenan, what'd you pay for those? was I got 2 of them. I paid $1,500 a piece. So I actually paid less for an 80 pounder than I did those 2. The reason those cost me a couple bucks more, they're harder to find. And people know single phase old equipment is hard to find. Most laundromats built a long time ago were all 3-phase. 3-phase was just more efficient in the 70s and 80s and the early 90s. So people were building laundromats in 3-phase and machines were in 3-phase. Now they have inverters on the back, so you don't have that. But it's easy to get 3-phase old equipment. It's very hard to get single phase, so that's why. But basically, for $5,500, I have 2 50s and 2 80s. Now the 50s are actually 60 pounders. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Keenan, no, they're not. They're 50 pounders. Speed Queen, and I'm going to screw this up somewhat, but Speed Queen had a 25 pounder, had a 27, they had a 35, a 40, and then they had the 50, and then they made a 60. Well, what they did is they didn't, if you buy a 60 pound, and I can actually compare it because I got a couple 60 pounders. If you buy a 60 pounder, it's the same drum as this thing right now. Like, the controls are different, but it's the same footprint, same size, same chassis. Speed Queen and a bunch of these laundromat companies got smart one day and said, hey, if we measure just a little different, we can be 59.5 cubic inches or whatever their displacement is of it. They came up with these weird numbers, so then they said, well, our 50 is now a 60, and our 35 is now a 40, and that's all they did. They got rid of certain models. They don't do 27s and 25s. They're 30 pounds, and no one really buys 30 pounds because no one uses them. So that's why when I find 50 pounders, a lot of people, like I said, 27 pounders, people will walk away from them too. That's a 30 pounder. Same parts as a 30 pounder, folks. Just the number's different. That's it. So when I find these oddballs, I pick them up because, one, they're cheap, and it's going to go great in my laundromat. So I'm super excited because I'll have 2 basically 60 pounders in laundromat number 1. I will have 5 40 pounders. Then I'll have a mix of top loaders, and I got a couple Horizons I'm going to leave over there, but that's pretty much it. I'm getting rid of those pump drain Horizons. That's why these are going in. And I mean, it looks, here's the inside of it. There's the valves back there. A lot of dust on it. This has been sitting somewhere for a long time. So it'll have to be cleaned up, but it runs. It just, the only issues with these, I was guaranteed, is the bearings. So, like I said, I'll fix them up, and there we go. Well, I'm out at the farm, so I'm going to go back to playing in the woods for a while, but I wanted to show you what today's delivery was. It's new machines for the laundromat. Now, the 80s are going to be, it's going to take me a couple weeks to change all the parts on these, and the laundromat number 2 that these are going in, that's where I'm putting the island. I'm not quite done with the plumbing yet. I got about another week, and I'll have it all done up. And before I can mount these bad boys, I have to cut out the floor and pour a 1-foot concrete pad underneath. So basically the floor will be 1 foot thick. It's a little overkill. You need 6 inches of concrete underneath an 80 pounder. People mount them on 4-inch floors, but it's really not recommended because of how much they're moving. They'll actually pull out if you're not careful. So got to do all that, and then we'll get them installed. But I'll make some videos, and you'll get a kick out of how easy it is to get these up and going. Everybody's different. Everybody runs their business different. I make money, so this is why I run it this way. So, hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. There'll be some more to come. Till next time, take it easy.